Hello everyone, my name is the Mad Scorpion, and welcome to another This Week in Destiny update for the week of January the 23rd, 2025. Now, as Heresy is right around the corner, we're starting to get more and more details regarding that. Of course, there was an article that was covering a lot of the PvP and Trials updates coming in Heresy. I just skipped that outright because I frankly don't really care about Crucible. Now, in the future, of course, there is going to be a developer livestream they mentioned. I believe that is going to be this Monday if the dates are all right. So if you want to learn more directly from Bungie as well, keep in mind that is there. Now, with the next dev stream, as always, there is also, or at least as per usual, there is new emblems that you can get for just watching. Let's see, this is watching for at least 15 minutes for the Skorgan ornament, and then this is the golden hour emblem if you gift a sub before January 31st in case you wish to earn that. Then here is the bit going over again that all article right there. It's all about stuff you'll get if you want to, you know, sweat and not enjoy Destiny. But then next is the content delivery plans for Heresy. So a big important update right now. We are going different from what it was in Revenant and different from what it was in Echo. Basically, they understood that even though people wanted all at once was not great. So let's see how they mentioned it. Meaningful reasons to log in throughout the episode. To that end, we made the vast majority of activities and content available on the first day of an act, with said content evolving based on the weekly story. Additionally, each week we will feature a seasonal challenge that rewards a new tier of seasonal weapon. Check with the live stream for more details. They did mention something right here as what it is akin to. For example, Act 2 will last 3 weeks with, instead of the standard 5 or 6. Additionally, all reprised weapons for the episode will be available at launch, while the second half of the episodic weapons will be when Act 2 launches. So there is going to be some different structure. I guess they're trying to better expand upon how often we get content and hopefully make it more perfect, because I thought the original version of episodes was fair enough. We had 3 weeks on, 3 weeks off, do that 2 more times, and after the last 3 weeks off you were into the next season. But now it was 1 week on, 5 weeks of doing nothing, and that got very tiring very quick. And seeing them trying to make it so that, let's say, Act 1 was 3 weeks, Act 2 is 3 weeks, and then Act 3 is how the rest of the season, but each week in each act is a little bit more developy, I do like that idea. Then some armor updates for Heresy. This is where a bulk of the talking is, and I will not apologize for messing up my words. I am human, and I like to seem human to everyone else. With that, getting into some of the changes, I'm going to keep it as brief as possible. The sealed Ahamkara grasps for hunters. They reworked with a weapon swapping focus to differentiate from other Hunter Reload exotics. Perks description now reads as follows. Powered melee and finisher final blows grant nightmare fuel, increasing handling and airborne effectiveness, while active freshly drawn weapons deal additional damage and grant nightmare fuel on final blows. Gaining nightmare fuel reloads all holstered weapons. So it actually sounds like Steel Ahamkara Grass might be worth it for once. Now for the Guizin Vest, now progresses its super returns on super hits as well as kills before coming invisible. Improve the maximum possible super energy gains per return while also increasing the amount of progress needed for maximum gains. Now emits a cloud of weakening smoke when you exit invisibility while nearby an enemy. Works both neutral and while in super. I don't know what it means by neutral exactly, but regardless, a nice change for Guizin Vest. Maybe Spectral Blades might be a little bit more nifty nowadays in PvE. Renewal Grasp, a overall buff. They double the rate at which Frost Armor is gained while using the enhanced Dust Field Grenade. So it is definitely more potent there. For Foe Tracers, they increase the bonus weapon damage duration from 10 to 15 seconds. For the Radiant Dance Machines, they improved airborne effectiveness and hipfire, mobility, range, and accuracy for primary weapons. Multi-kills with primary ammo weapons refund dodge energy, and when dodge energy is full, multi-kills grant extra charges. More powerful combatants and guardians count as more than 1 kills. Now for specifically the Spirits of Gjallarhorn on the class exotic, there is reduced maximum energy refunded for Silk Strike and Golden Gun to 30%, down from 50%, and the Spirit of the Foe Tracer is also being adjusted, so it is going from 10 to 15%, or 10 to 15 seconds for its active duration. Now moving on to Titans. For Titan's Ramparts, they removed several downsides applied by Assault Barricade to bring it in line with base Tower and Barricade behavior. Cumulatively, these changes resulted in Tower and Barricade you can shoot through with no downsides while Titan's is equipped in PvE, see below. They increased the Barricade health from 400 to 500, it no longer increases Barricade cooldown, it no longer decreases Barricade duration. Further increases damage dealt to Titan's Further increased damage dealt to Titan's barricades by Guardians from 125% to 160%. This results in near identical effective barricade health in PvP specifically. For the Eternal Warrior, final blows of Fist of Havoc now grant extended super dirt. Oh, I didn't read that properly last time I looked through this. I might for once use Eternal Warrior. Ursa Furiosa, they did do a slight change that I'm not exactly happy with, but I get it. Blocking damage with Unbreakable now returns grenade energy instead of super energy. Grenade energy returned at the end of Unbreakable and is scaled at the amount of damage you blocked with it. Now, personally, I did like Ursa Furiosa for the idea of also Unbreakable funding the shield. I had a pretty good build. I built myself out of that. How do I say this? The cycle was fun to keep up your shield, but I guess with Unbreakable being almost as powerful as the Sentinel Shield Ursine Guard, I can get with it and get with the program. Now with Khepri's Horn, it now sends out 3 waves of flame instead of just 1. These waves no longer return towards the barricade, they only travel outwards once. Tracking on the waves has been enhanced. Combatants damaged by these waves are enveloped in a sunspot. Players are enveloped if they are defeated. It now requires a solar super to be equipped to create the flame waves from the barricade. Interesting. I still don't think anyone is going to use Khepri's Horn. Insurmountable Skullfort. This is something that has sounded terrifying when I read, but upon description, it is good. Now grants energy to arc melee abilities when hitting targets with any melee attack. Amount granted varies based on the melee used. From the most to least energy granted power melees, now non-glaive powered unpowered melees while knockout is active in unpowered melees including glaives. So what that basically means, they kept its original functionality where a kill will instantly refresh your arc melee, but if you don't kill it, now you do get slight refund. So it's no sad scenario where something doesn't die to your melee and suddenly you're without your melee for the next 40-ish seconds. Now, Stoicism for Ursa Furiosa perk also changed for grenade energy, and Spirit of the Horn, Khepri's Horn also inherited same things. However, on Thruster, it will also emit 4 waves in an X pattern, oddly enough. Now, one that I didn't exactly expect, but I am iffy about, Storm Dancer's Brace. They changed it so they doubled the damage benefit per stack of Ascending Amplitude up to 20% per stack from 10, and now also reduces the cost of Ionic Blink during Super by half. But however, they also reduced the maximum amount of energy refunded to 30% down from 50%. Personally, I did like Storm Dancers for the refund and constantly getting Stormcaller, but at the same time, if they felt the need to nerf it a little bit after being untouched for so long, I imagine people are kind of going nuts making some generation builds, or at least getting supers super quick. Then for Geomags, a positive buff, going with the new Bolt Charge aesthetic going on, they added a new perk where sprinting near max Bolt Charge will top it off, starting at 6 stacks of Bolt Charge. It re-enables VFX wherein boots spark while sprinting near max bolt charge, and also increased super energy gained based from Ionic Traces from... Wait, hang on. Increased super energy gained from Ionic Traces to 7 from 2%. Okay, so you get way more super energy from Ionic Traces, as well as getting the ability to overcharge your bolt charge just by sprinting. So it's kind of back to what it was, it's just not full Chaos Reach. Then Secant Filaments now gives class ability energy per kill while Devour is active, I'm assuming, so you can better keep up the cycle of putting down rifts and getting Devour. Then for Speaker's Sight, the healing turret will no longer target allies at full health. Allies will need some damage done to their shields to be eligible targets. I'm assuming this is either so it doesn't burn all of its heal charges, or that people aren't just getting constantly healed when they don't even need it and becoming tanky. Then with Verity's Brow and Spirit of Verity included, now uses a meter to track death throws. New duration per tier is 1 times is 8, 2 times is 7, 3 times is 6, 4 times is 5, and 5 times is 4. When one tier's duration elapses, the buff will downgrade to the next tier rather than expiring suddenly. Grenade bonus recharge per tier at 1 times is half per second, or half percent per second, 2 times is 1, 3 times is 1.5, 4 is 2, and 5 is 2.5 times per second. So I think this is kind of just being a permanent surge of discipline as they're kind of looking at it. Whatever that mod that is basically when you have Charge of Light, you get a boosted stat. It's looked like they're doing that for Verity's Brow, which I might actually seek entrance into that one nowadays. As well, the Spirit of Verity, they gain bonus grenade recharge, gained a bonus recharge, but provides 50% of the base Verity's Brow. Interesting. That sounds weird and not sensible. Now they are changing some aim assist, it seems, where aiming at a target for a short time will prevent another target moving quickly across your reticle. Oh my god! Thank you, Bungie. I was always enraged by this. When I was shooting at a target and something Get Down Mr. President did across my screen, and next thing you know, my aim was dragged away from the target I was shooting at. That was always infuriating. I really hope that sticks and doesn't work. Now, PvE damage tuning. There's going to be a lot of things that are going to blitz through here. So in PvE scenarios, Scout Rifle got additional 15% damage versus Majors and 30 versus Majors. I said Majors twice, I think, but Minors and Majors there, which if you don't know what Minors and Majors are, Minor right here is basically a description for any red bar ad that is just around. Think Acolytes, Thrall, Goblins, Dregs, Vandals, that sort of thing. Then Majors are the yellow ones that are basically Knights or heftier Knights, Captains, some of the things that will be a little bit tougher with yellow health bars, just to keep that in mind. Auto Rifles, they also gained a plus 10% versus Minors and Majors collectively. SMGs got plus 5% versus Minors. Additionally, in this one, they increased the base magazine size based on the mag stats, so SMGs and PvE are looking great. Trace Rifles got a 20% buff against Minors, and Linear Fusions got a 10% flat-out damage buff across the board. Interesting. Maybe the Fusion Rifle meta is back for boss damage. But next with Glaives, some adjustments. They significantly increased aim assist, aim magnetism, and damage fall-off ranges across the board for all glaives. They also improved glaive projectile hit registration, increased the baseline effects at all stat values for handling speed, including shield ready and draw and stow speed, max size, projectile speed, and reload speed. Final hit of the melee combo deals double damage now, and also inflicts more flinch on PvE combatants. So it's looking like there's actually a purpose to doing a full combo for once with glaives. Now, aggressive frame fusions. If you didn't know, these actually exist, except there's only one, and that was the Cryolus Force that was issued in Beyond Light with the Europa weaponry. Basically, they are reworking it a little bit to be more akin to, I forget what it's called, whatever St. 14th fusion rifle is. That was a pain in the ass in Crucible. But however, the description: aggressive frame fusion rifles now fire 3 bursts of 4 pellets in increasingly wide spreads. Increase the minimum damage when fully outside of the damage fall-off range from 45% to 65%, so more total damage. Increase range fall-off start by 4 meters to normal fusions. Increase range fall-off end by 3 meters to other relative to other fusions. And increase damage versus Minors and Majors by 50% or 15% relative to normal fusions. So I am hoping they're not only going to add one, but these are going to become a more popular just variety subframe. Now, support auto rifles. They made it so the range now increases how far away you can heal other guardians with it, which is helpful because some scenarios where you could fully see them, but you had a short range but fast handling mode, you would not be able to track and actually heal them accurately. So that is a good thing there. I just hope we can actually get more support frame auto rifles in the future. Then with rocket assisted sidearms. This sounds like a nerf, but it's not, trust me. Reduce the PvE detonation damage by 45%, but increase PvE impact damage by 100. They also reduced aim assist fall off and maximum distance by 8 meters, and reduced magnetism fall off by 8 meters. Reduced damage by 30% versus bosses, vehicles, and mini-boss targets. Buried Bloodline body shot damage is unaffected. Crit hit damage is buffed by 8%. And the range stat was vestigial to the weapon subfamily, so they removed it to Range Masterworks, and intrinsic enhance will be replaced with something more appropriate. I imagine something like Blast Radius or Velocity. Now, in this idea, it's not going to be so good against bosses, yes, but at the same time, I don't really think the rocket frame sidearms were meant to take on bosses and be top tier damage. I think they were meant to be a quick draw weapon that you see as something slightly larger that the caliber of pulse rifle you got wouldn't take on, so you bring this out and chunk it away. Now, from the sound of it, they're basically just making so you have to actually aim a little bit with these rocket pistols, so you can't exactly auto aim or just lazy it. So with that, I hope that sidearms are still effective, but just not as, oh my god, so easy to use, because they really felt like they were too easy sometimes. Next, with exotic weapons, and Lawrence Driver. Picking up the bounty tag now grants 1 ammo to the mag. Triggering Lagrangian sight by picking up the bounty tag adds 6 ammo to the mag the first time you trigger it. Returns to adding 1 ammo per extension while the buff remains active. If you don't remember how Lawrence Driver works, basically as you kill things, you'll spawn a little pickup, and once you pick up enough of those things, you'll enter a bonus damage mode, or at least if I recall bonus damage mode, where it's a lot easier to just make the explosions that Lawrence Driver can make. Now with this, anytime you pick that up, you'll get a little bit of ammo, and the first time you go into this overcharged mode, you will get a full reload, so it's pretty good to just dish out damage from the sound of it now. The Delicate Tomb. They made a few additions to it to increase the chances to make an Ionic Trace from minor combatants from 4 to 10%, increase the PvE damage bonus on the Tempest Cascade shot from 30 to 100%, and then remove the timer from Tempest Cascade lasts until it is fired. I still don't think anyone is going to be using Delicate Tomb. With the DARCI, they added a new catalyst perk, network targeting. Hits with personal assistance active grant you and nearby allies improved overall weapon performance and precision damage with non-exotic sniper rifles. Improved recoil, flinch, target acquisition, handling, and precision damage stacks up to 5 times. DARCI also gets this buff itself. DARCI user also gets plus 15% damage after granting 5 stacks to a teammate. So from the sound of it, DARCI is a sniper version of Gjallarhorn. So it's not going to be terrible. DARCI still, I think, needs good damage on its own. I know it's getting a little bit of a buff here, but I remember it doing very poor compared to other things. Now, I could see a pretty solid damage scenario, too, for sustained damage if somebody's running rocket strat, as well as one person has Gjallarhorn, one person has DARCI, and in addition to rocket launchers and everything else like that, I could just see this being a very good damage melt if you have one person Gally making everyone else's rockets buff, and once that's run out, go to DARCI and swap to something like Succession or Reckoning or Reckoner, whatever the 4x triple tap sniper from Last Wish is. I forget the name, but it does sound like it could be definitely cooking. Now, the class glaives, all 3 of them specifically, all class glaives, the special shot is no longer tied to the glaive energy, now triggered on 6 weapon hits to allow the special reload, which, if you don't know what that means, the special reload is like with the Titans making the mini bubble, the Hunters doing the arcing shot, and the Warlocks making the healing turret. It now increments off both shots and melee hits as well. Edge of Concurrence afflicts jolting feedback trait added to the intrinsic perk. The Edge of Action for the Titans inflicts a destabilizing round trait to the intrinsic, and the Edge of Intent, aka the healing effects of Incandescent added to intrinsic, added Cure Pulse to special shot impact, and healing turret no longer targets allies at full health to act similar to Speaker's Sight. Allies need some damage. Then for Centrifuge, plain and simple, they increase its mag size to 45 for the essential drum mag. Dead Messenger, Hardlight, and Borealis, aka everything that can rotate its elements. For the fundamentals, they got a new effect. Grants a 30% damage buff, 10% in PvP, to this weapon for 10 seconds when you apply or receive an elemental keyword that matches the currently selected element damage type of this weapon. They removed the effect of granting different stats based on the current... Okay. So weird. So now it doesn't have essentially elemental capacitor for variety, but now has it so that if you build into that element, it is super powerful. I hope they make it so that you could lock an element then, because it is super annoying when you accidentally swap to the weapon and have to rotate all of the elements. Then for Borealis only, they increase the stability by 20 and emphasis by 10 to permanently grant it the void element bonus that it will no longer have access to since Borealis is a sleeper pick in PvP. Weird. This bonus was selected over Arc since there are more ways to gain handling. Now, for Telesto, a bit of a rework, I'm not going to lie, listing some of this stuff here. Harbinger's Pulse now only refills Telesto's ammo from reserves instead of Telesto and your kinetic lock weapon. Now triggers with any Void Final Blow. The Final Blow's requirement increased from 2 to 3, however, Telesto Final Blows count double. In other words, will trigger from 2 Telesto Final Blows or 1 Telesto Final Blow plus another Void Weapon Final Blow, aka a multi-kill timer increased from 2.5 to 4.5 seconds, but the Catalyst got a new perk, Harbinger's Seethe. After 3 activations of the Harbinger's Pulse, special reload the weapon to cause a rain of Telesto projectiles at your next direct hit. Ooh boy, that sounds like it might be really freaking cool. Telesto might be a PvE endgame pick for once. Now for the Vexcalibur. They made it so that triggering the Perpetual Loophole by scoring a melee kill while your Overshield is active now also fills your glaive energy to full. They slightly increased the Void Overshield trickle-on rate to nearby allies and yourself when guarding. They also increased the potency of Vexcalibur's secret innate advantages over the Vex. Vexcalibur's secret damage bonus when striking with its projectiles against a certain enemy faction has been increased from 10 to 25 to match Wishender and Malfeasance, doing bonus damage against Taken. Vexcalibur now briefly disorients non-boss Vex with its melee attack. I actually like the idea of some weapons just being purely anti-one race of enemies. That sounds actually like it could be a pretty cool mechanic and make something that would be otherwise less spectacular really advantageous. Thinking to things like Skyburners that can specially pierce those Cabal shields, even though they are not the greatest weapon, may say, but it could be a keyhole weapon. Now for Wardcliff Coil, they granted a new intrinsic effect where you grant 1 stack of bolt charge to all nearby allies for every 2 rockets fired, 4 stacks per trigger pull. So if you are actually looking to do a bolt charge damage method, Wardcliff Coil might be based. Might legitimately be great. Pair that with Hazardous Projection, that might actually be great. Or Hazardous Propulsion, excuse me. Now a rework to the Queenbreaker bow. Players can special reload at any time to swap between the long or short range scopes. The marksman sight retains the previous behavior of firing a single shot that chains to nearby targets and blinds them. The range of the chain has increased from 8 to 10 meters to make chaining easier. However, the combat sight now alters the weapon to fire a 3-round burst at a charge time of 533. Sustained damage on a target decreases the charge time of the weapon down to 300 charge time with no loss to its damage, useful for quickly dealing damage to bosses and other high health targets. The scope that you select in the inspection screen will determine which scope is active by default when spawning into activities. Now for the colony, they increase its detonation damage by 40%. This puts its damage in line a shot above legendary drum grenade launchers, and increase the number of bots spawned by 1 for all enemy tiers except players. So basically, a minor enemy will spawn 2 submunitions, elites and mages will make 3 submunitions now, and champions and bosses will make 6 submunitions, which might actually put Colony in a useful spot for high endgame scenario ad clear. The Quicksilver Storm, reduced shots required to trigger a mini rocket by 17%. Legend of Accuracy, reduce the spread angle by 30%, increase the range by 6 meters total. So Legend of Accuracy is just a little bit more consistent. The Fourth Horseman, I'd really wish there was more to this, but they reduced the rate of fire slightly to give more control over wasting shots and loads ammo from reserves per kill. I was honestly hoping there was something to make it mega damage, or something like a catalyst that would be similar to Parasite, where the longer you kill with other weapons, the more damage that one gains, but that might be stealing and copyright claimed, I don't know. Lord of Wolves, they increase its range but reduces base damage, removed accuracy penalties when standard firing, and released the Wolves now triggers on hip fire instead of special reload. Fires full auto, greatly increases damage and rate of fire, and reduced accuracy and range. The Catalyst, however, makes its reload speed and stability boosts are now built in. When released, the Wolves is active, dealing damage to targets scorches them. And when ADS, defeating targets spreads scorch nearby allies, or nearby commands, excuse me. A Lord of Wolves buff was not something I expected to hear in late days. Now, Cloud Strike, they changed it a little bit to adapt to basic bolt charge. Rapid precision hits create a lightning storm at the point of impact and grants a stack of bolt charge. Excuse me. However, precision final blows generate a lightning bolt at the target's location and grant a moderate amount of bolt charge. So it sounds like sustained DPS with Cloud Strike is also very good at making bolt charge. In addition to Thunderlord, which sounded like it is going to be potent next season in addition to everything else. They added behavior to the Rain Havoc perk. Final blows with this weapon generate lightning strike from above. Lightning strikes grant a stack of bolt charge, strong against overload champions. I had already came up with the idea with that new aspect on Titan, doing active war rig, a rally barricade, the aspect that grants bolt charge over time, and Thunderlord. That sounds like it's going to be absolutely top tier. Now with weapons, perks specifically, destabilizing rounds, now grants volatile rounds for 2 seconds if any target is hit by volatile burst from the initial final blow, and reduce the internal cooldown from 4 seconds to 1.5, so way more often happening. Full Court now scales the detonation and burn damage of aerial denial grenade launchers. Ambitious Assassin removed both multi-kill and reload timers, so I guess it's just easier to use. Flash counter on swords, reworked to read taking damage after guarding amidst a disorienting blast, no longer requires a timed input or melee to trigger, and deals moderate damage in a large cone in front of you, disorienting combatants. Now some new weapons. As I always warn, some new weapons are coming in with some leaving. So the first is the Lotus Eater in Nightfalls. You'll be getting a Void Rocket Assist sidearm that can also come Adept because it is one of the Nightfall weapons. And the Palindrome is getting a slight rework, coming Arc Adaptive instead of Void Adaptive. And once again, available with a whole new variety of new perks, including things like Magnificent Hell, Opening Shots, Outlaw, Explosive Payload. Explosive Payload Master of Arms might be OP. But just also checking with the Lotus Eater, there's some of the standard good ones, Reverberation for more explosion size, or blast rate, excuse me. Reconstruction, one for all. It actually sounds like it might be very powerful. For the Vanguard Ops basic, almost said, well, it's Strand, I read Strand. But for the basic strike weapons, they're getting a Cynosure, which is a Strand aggressive frame rocket launcher. Comes with something like Reconstruction, as well as Envious Arsenal, Demolitionist, Field Prep, Sympathetic Arsenal. Holy crap, there's a variety of amazing perks. This might be one to go for. And as well, Chain Reaction, Explosive Light, something Redacted, Bipod, Cluster Bomb, Lasting Impression, Junkie, Reverberation, High Ground, Hatchling. It sounds like that rocket might actually be quite OP. Then for Gambit, the Back Fang, a Arc Rapid Fire Glaive, which I don't know how much that's going to work out because I think actually off the top of my head, there's only one other Rapid Fire Glaive and it's not exactly talked about. For Crucible, you're getting the Jockster's Longsword, which is a Void Heavy Burst Pulse Rifle, a 2-burst, with things like Closing Time, Demolitionist, Gutshot Straight, newly reworked, Pugilist, Rewind Rounds, as well as Desperado, Desperate Measures, Destabilize, Withering Gaze. Withering Gaze on a primary, that might be actually OP. Regardless, it does actually sound like it might be quite nifty. However, you do have to play Crucible. Now, the weapons that will be leaving. Just keep in mind, next week will be the last week to earn the Undercurrent Grenade Launcher in its adept form. You'll still be able to earn any of these weapons I'm talking about. They just won't be in rotation. As well with Trials, its last week will be or next week on Trials for the Prophet. In Iron Banner, this is the last week you can get access to Reese Walker and Lethal Abundance from the just random dropping. So if you wish to earn those, you'll have to buy them out of the Legacy Focus after that date. Now, there is games to give, which seems to be the yearly Bungie Destiny donation fundraising thing. I'm struggling with my words. I've been talking a lot. With some actually rare and what looks like nifty perks available in case you donate to some of your time and your money. They're also returning the Weapon Vault, giving you the chance to snag some old ones from past campaigns in case you wish to get any of these. The Heart of the Highlander is exceptionally a cute one, as well as a variety of emblems, as well as, how do I say this, donation goals for this variety of earning basic, let me just say this, if you donate enough money, you'll get those emblems. I'm running out of steam if you can't tell. If you want to know how to get involved in supporting Games to Give, there is a list right here. Now, as well with Los Angeles wildfires, as usual when it comes to any of these disasters throughout the world, Bungie does do their due diligence and actually makes a t-shirt for the donations and, what's the word I'm thinking for disaster relief. So if you wish to buy one of these t-shirts to help for the disaster relief in California, that is always something worth doing nowadays, especially if you don't feel like giving Bungie money directly. They will be donating a lot of that. Now, with strength in numbers, every donation, every stream watched, and every moment shared makes a difference. So what are you waiting for? Get into it. Now, the latest Bungie rewards is here. A big poster for Reckoning is here, as well as a variety of Skorgan tunes to share in case you want to listen to people being organ masters. I'm still annoyed there's no Davy Jones theme. I get there's Captain Jack, but Davy Jones, goddammit, he's the organ man. But then, new emblem for creations. In case you don't know, if you actually donate something to Artist and Movie of the Week and it is featured, you'll get these nifty emblems. It honestly look pretty cool. I just wish I had something that could be Art or Movie of the Week. Now for some known issues. With the release of Update 0.4, 3 specific issues affecting triumphs and challenges. They reduced the number of Revenant Bears and defenses required for Barren Ground and Defender of Innocent triumphs, respectively. They also fixed an issue where the Skorgan melodies triumphed in track-played melodies. They fixed an issue where the number of seasonal challenges required for the Reborn triumph was higher than intended. Now, some known issues. Slayer's Fang summons Overload champions, but does not prevent them from healing. Some major Rework dialogues are incorrectly being used at the end of some of the missions. Vesper's Host, sometimes the final boss doesn't spawn and players are forced to wipe to re-encounter the start. Vesper's Host, some players cannot complete Step 7 of the Rogue Network quest as they cannot interact or open the secret second chest. And Vesper's Host players who are unable to complete Step 6 of the Rogue Network quest may have already completed the puzzle, just need to claim the collectible. And Vesper's Host players cannot dunk the nuclear core in the bunker if the Corrupted Puppeteer's wipe mechanic starts when the core drops. For a full list of known issues, review the article. Now, some more art of the week. That is actually quite cool looking. If only that was an aquarium. That would actually be a base aquarium. And then, movie of the week, taking on Skolos with the nut cannon that is Legend of Valkyries. And with that, I am so tired of talking. It has certainly been quite a while. I am sure you all tired of hearing me. But with that, some positive changes. I just hope they're all going to stick and land, and people won't complain about a slight nerf and possibly rework to rocket pistols. With that, my name is the Mad Scorpion. I will see you in the next video.